Hello, Reds. Thank you very much for tuning in. Absolute legends. The 24 hours after, we know that result anyway. I'm joined by two very good friends of the guest of the channel anyway. Mick, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I know you're you're going to be on for half an hour, but appreciate you taking the time out, mate. And you went the game last night with me, didn't you? It was a bit of a mad one again.
Yeah. Nice one for asking me on. Yeah, it was. It went last night, and it was eventful to say the least.
Yeah, more eventful than an episode of Coddy anyway, I'll put that way. But Owen, thank you very much for coming on, mate. Just shout out your podcast, mate, and obviously the episode that we've just done.
Well, thanks very much for inviting me on. We just recorded an episode looking back at Crystal Palace and looking forward to Man United, and it's really great. So just you can follow us on Twitter at Kop On Podcast. Or you can find Kop On wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify and all that. We're also on YouTube as well. So Kop On Podcast. Thanks for the invite. Delighted to be here.
And Mick, you've just done a great podcast anyway with the series of famous Reds. Just give that a plug, mate. And we're obviously on your channel as well, mate.
Yeah, so the Kopite Podcast on YouTube, and if you just do the same, like Owen said, if you just search the Kopite Podcast on wherever you get your podcasts, so like Spotify or Apple or I don't know, there's loads now, isn't there? Deezer and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, YouTube is probably the main one where you can obviously watch it. So the latest ones with Simon Rimmer, which was the TV presenter and chef, and he does the Sunday brunch every Sunday. But that was a good one, and yeah, that was episode 5. Episode 4 was Alex Horn. We had DJ Spoonie, Harvey, and then from So Solid Crew, and Paul Smith, the boxer, Scouse boxer. So yeah, just looking forward to get episode 6 and 7 in the pipeline. Can't wait.
Yeah, both smashing it, boys. Appreciate it. Right, we'll get straight into it, Reds. And Mick, I'll start with you in terms of obviously being in the ground. It was a game with a lot of emotion, seeping out from the stands onto the pitch. And that was very much evident from the frustration that Nunes, just your general thoughts on this situation, mate. When I was watching, and probably everyone watching as well, was like, what have you done, that?
Yeah, it was weird because you shouldn't have to lose a man for you to start playing well, and that's kind of what happened, and that's just the most bizarre thing about it all. It's the first half, obviously, first 20 minutes we were fine, and I think the team news, obviously Phillips playing and then Gomez not playing and Henderson not playing. I probably thought we should have went with Gomez and Henderson instead of Fabinho and Phillips, but obviously Klopp's made the decision not to do that because the sports scientists or whatever have said, or to not play them for that long, or to maybe just keep them on the bench just and use them when required. But yeah, first 20 was good. Obviously they get the goal, and then we're kind of just chasing it. You get to half time, you're like, we need a reaction, and then second half just starts the same up until the point where Nunes just acts like an absolute idiot, to be honest. And I'm sure you've seen the clips floating around on Twitter where him and Anderson are having argy-bargy the whole game. And that's just normal, though, isn't it? You get that Premier League, you get that in Sunday League on a Sunday afternoon. It's just you've just got to learn to deal with that. But
to that point, mate, you're spot on. Would you say that would be a concern going forward if he doesn't, hopefully, and there's no bigger game than the Merseyside derby coming back, and obviously he's been in the Portuguese league and probably one of the worst players in world football over the last 10 years anyway. Pepe obviously plays for Porto, and he knows that, and as he said, obviously his counterpart, obviously Suarez, from a national setup as well, he would have told him exactly what it's all about. But a little bit of petulance, really. It's a bit frustrating seeing that, mate. And everyone says, as you said there, mate, he's young, but he's got to learn very quick, as you said. Anderson was all over him, and if you're a Premier League defender, Mick, you're licking your lips, aren't you?
Yeah, you will be, because you know that you can try that, albeit it might have happened. I'm looking at a very, very positive light. It's happened early, so we can kind of curb it quickly, maybe. That's the only positive I can see from it. That's the only positive, because it's, like I said, it was weird that he got the sending off and then we played better, but I still feel like that's cost us a little bit, because obviously we had to then chase the game. Trent and Diaz were like possessed the last 15 minutes. Luis Diaz especially was just absolutely ridiculous, but yeah, Nunes comes back. I'd be surprised if he starts the Everton game coming back. I think it's an early kickoff, isn't it? So, I mean, obviously it depends on the state of Firmino. The state of Jota probably won't be back by then. So yeah, we need them guys back as well to kind of have some resilience, really, because we haven't. I mean, Nunes had to play because he was the only option.
So
I'm sure that's not the only reason why he played, but Klopp didn't have a choice to make, really, because there was 9 injuries. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's mad, mate, isn't it? And squad depth, and it's especially when the window open, mate, making and everyone watching. It's always going to be that question when the window still continues to be open now, and that obviously question marks. We see a lot of clubs in and around, especially in the Premier League. You look at, I know Nunes was linked, loads of paper talk all summer, and it wasn't obviously factual in terms of, we probably had a little look at him, but Wolves signing a very talented midfielder, and a lot of the teams in the Premier League have got a lot of money to spend, given the product in which the Premier League is, that you've got, like I say, a top 7 to filtering down to the top 13, 14 selection of teams that are very much able to reinforce in all areas, really, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, so many teams have strengthened, as they do or try and do every year. But it doesn't always work. I mean, Klopp talking about, getting the right player is something that, he's not just saying that, it's absolutely true. We only have to look at Manchester United to see how badly it can go when you just buy players because they're the flavour of the month, or you buy players because you think, well, he's a good player, so you just buy them without knowing how how they fit into your system, etc., or knowing the character of the players. I mean, someone like Bruno Fernandes was heavily linked with Liverpool, for example, in midfield. Right, what could he have given Liverpool? Yes, goals, yes, assists, but defensively he offers nothing. And like in terms of a character, he seems like the biggest whinge bag going, doesn't he? He's just like like just someone that my test for famous people is, would you invite them to your barbecue, right? And imagine Bruno Fernandes at your barbecue. He'd be there. It'd be, he'd be like, I don't know, complaining about, the salad, and he'll be saying, this sausage isn't done enough, but it's clearly done. It's clearly done, Bruno. Just shut your face.
100%, mate. Oh yeah, and I can't wait to play him next Monday anyway. But lads, we'll swiftly move on anyway. In terms of made little talking points. Just ask anyway. We've mentioned heads gone moment for Nunes. We can move on, as Mick said, now and chat already. Hopefully, he can learn from this process and develop going forward. But in terms of Andy Robinson, Mick, he's played, and I'll quickly bring up, in terms of the game minutes played in all competitions over the last previous seasons. And as you can see, Andy Robinson ranks in easily the top 5, obviously second most minutes played in the 2019-20 season. Then you go into the 2020-21 season. Andy, where is he there on there? Yeah, top of that list as well, yet again. And then for the 2021-22 season, he's in the top 5 yet again as well. Is it a case of not just Andy Robinson, mate, but a case of Liverpool being so dominant in terms of the starting 11 that the rotation and players have been classed as being in the red zone, that we're bound to see a drop-off in quality, not necessarily there. It's impossible for any player to play at that elite level game after game, but as those minutes do indicate, mate, that sometimes players do need a rest. Would you say, especially in the case of Andy Robinson? I watched it. I don't know how you felt, mate, or anyone in chat as well. Robinson, for me, he's not really we've seen it against Manchester City, that diagonal ball from Trent to find Robbo, and he gets that knockdown to find Nunes and against City. But last night, Mick, I don't know how you felt. He wasn't Andy of old, really. He wasn't getting up the pitch as much as he possibly can. We all remember that run he done against Arsenal, where he just chased down 7 players of Arsenal, mate. But could he be helped by, not dropped, but a rotation of bringing Kostas in that Costas over the last 12 months, he's not really disappointed when he's got the opportunities. What's your thoughts on Andy Robbo?
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting, the graphic, because obviously he's played a hell of a lot of games, and that obviously
and he's
is
been one of our most consistent as well, anyway. So that's the point as well.
And sometimes you just can't keep that up all the time. Obviously, once you've set, you kind of make a rod for your own back in a way, because your levels, even a bad game like over the past couple of years for Robertson would have been one of our best players on the field. So the fact that he's now going through a little bit of a sticky patch, and he maybe does need to, like I said, not get dropped, but maybe just rotation a bit more, because we know how good Costas is. And I thought he was okay when he came on yesterday, like getting some balls into the box and stuff, and he's direct and he likes taking people on, get to the byline, and I think that's something that Robbo maybe isn't. I don't know if it's a combination of all the stuff we just mentioned, and a combination of obviously Sadio Mane leaving, because we know that their chemistry and synergy they had on the left side of the pitch. It was almost telepathic. Obviously, played into Sadio, Robbo will make an underlap or an overlap, he'd get it back, and vice versa. So obviously Diaz is a bit different, and we can't criticise that, because what he done last night, he bailed us out majorly. But he's a different type of winger. He's not. I think he's, and it's one of them as well. Diaz has only been here since January, so it's that's still a work in progress for him, as a person, as a player, but also collectively linking up with the rest of the team. And I think Robbo is maybe missing Sadio a little bit, because it's those type of linking runs that they had together. So I think it's a combination of quite a few things, but. I mean, it's a nice thing that we can drop him. It's not like years gone by where we've got
the 11. Option, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got a good 11, and then we've got two good backups potentially on the bench, but they're not for left back. We've usually just got a good left back, a good right back. That's it. You've got no backup to them apart from the kids. But now we've got an actual decent deputy in Costas Tsimikas, so I think we probably need to use him a little bit more going forward, and I think we probably will.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And I know when I bring you this in case in point, because spot on what Mick said, and Fabinho as well. I don't know. I'll ask Mick and Sims and everyone. Let me know your thoughts on what do you think's been the issue in relation to Fabinho. We similar with, as Mick said, with Andy Robinson, case to the point. You could more or less compare that and the charts and in terms of the minutes played. When potentially playing, Jurgen Klopp knows, and we know Jurgen Klopp is on record as saying Henderson's best positions is in the 6. And when there was something off like last night, or even like the back end of last season as well, he's played a lot of minutes, national side as well. He wants to get into the World Cup squad. I know he's not probably going to get ahead of Casemiro and that, but Owen, what do you feel? How do you feel Fabinho's been playing? Because I know I was on a podcast with you, and both me and you massively disagreed in terms of obviously the performance of Fabinho last night, mate. But what are your thoughts on Fabinho's form last night, and obviously going forward? Do you think potentially he does need a rest, or just because as I was saying with the minutes played, he is probably one of Liverpool's most consistent and most played midfielder out of the 3, if you had to pick?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think I might be in the minority, but I think his performances haven't been that bad at all. I mean, he got a 94% passing accuracy, and he touched the ball more than any other player yesterday. He had like 130 odd touches of the ball, and 94% passing accuracy is what you want from your number 6. I mean, he doesn't have to do anything spectacular, although he did play one key pass among all of those passing. So in terms of his passing range, I think he's fine. Yeah, in terms of running, yeah, I mean, he does look like maybe he could do with a bit of a rest, but not just him or Robertson. I think they all would after the 65 odd game season we played last year, and then quite a grueling preseason really, where they were traveling around the world. It's I mean, so many of our squad could do with a rest. I think that's why we've got so many injuries. But I don't know, with Robertson, for example, I think he also has suffered only marginally because his stats. I mean, there's no great drop off. He got 10 assists and 3 goals in the Premier League last season, which is pretty incredible for a left back. But I think he's suffered a little bit from not having a dynamic midfielder next to him. I mean, Thiago's good. He's got a lot better at sort of running, by his own admission. Jurgen Klopp taught him to run, as he said. But he doesn't have the same sort of dynamism as Henderson on the other side to cover Trent. So, when Robertson gets forward, he does have to sprint back. You see him sprinting back more often, I think, just on the eye test. I've got no stats to back it up, but you see Robertson sprinting back more often than Trent, I think, over the years. So maybe that's played into something to do with the fatigue. But I wonder what's going on at Liverpool in the medical department, because 9 injuries is absolutely nuts. And I think
it's the witch.
There might
the witch that
be
Jäger was saying.
There's a witch.
Yeah. Jäger, I think he was quoted. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something about a witch. I think the Kirby facility I used to live around in McGull anyway, but like supposedly Kirby witch tales and all that. Apparently, it's
supposed to be haunted.
It's literally built on a witch site, apparently. So yeah,
oh, really?
So
okay.
let's read into that what you want.
Friends with witches, they might be very nice. I mean, make friends with Caroline and everybody.
Cheeky, yeah. Get Graham Potter as our manager. That sort. Anyway,
yeah.
That was shocking. Sorry,
good idea.
That was a bit of a Doug joke. Sorry.
That was very good.
Yeah, Mick, it's your thoughts on Fabinho, mate? As I say, it's interesting in terms of, case in point, similar, you could draw parallels with Andy Robinson. What's your thoughts on not just his last 2 games, but in terms of it? Just when I watched him last night in the stands, mate, I was like, this isn't you. Like, it's something off about him. I can't. Obviously, we're not courtesy to being a fly in the wall, and hopefully everything in the background of Fabinho. I think all of us do kind of forget sometimes these players are human beings at the end of the day, and we never know the full extent of what's happening, mate. But you think he'd benefit from it's the thing, when you drop a player and we're in a situation now that we need to win every single game, and we've seen over the last couple of years how titles have been decided by small margins, but we know how good Fabinho can be on a football pitch. Just your general thoughts on his game last night, miss?
Yeah, I agree. Like, he's not. It's again comes back to what we were saying about Robbo. Like, he's usually like imperious and like just like glides and just like links the play really well. And yeah, it looked like he was caught in like 12 different minds at some points last night, and like his legs and his brain didn't seem to wanting to do the same thing. And I think for me, it was a game that we could have played Hendo in the 6, but then obviously all the news coming out of it was like Hendo probably shouldn't have even played. Apparently, he was only meant to maybe get the last 10 minutes or whatever, and he came on for the last 30, wasn't it? So I think we needed Hendo's energy yesterday. I think I think he's ideal in the, like, obviously we're talking about the Man United game coming up. He's going to be much needed in that, because we need to break up those passing lanes, and that's what he's so good at. That's why what does Pep Linders call him, like Inspector Gadget or something like that, or something like that. And the Hoover, he just cleans up, and it's those passing lanes and those long legs and the telescopic legs, and he's got a great football brain on him. But I do feel like at the minute I don't know if it's a confidence thing or he's thinking about it. I don't know, but I agree with you, Jack. I don't think he's quite there. Albeit, I don't think he was horrendous, but I just feel like he looks like he's running in treacle sometimes, and you're like, I don't know. I think we should be picking and choosing the games that he plays. I think in the bigger games we need him, but I think in Palace at home, I don't think you really require a specialised defensive midfielder. I think Hendo could have done a good enough job in there.
Yeah, 100%, mate. In chat, I'll quickly read through a couple of comments. Apology for doing it. There's that many of them. I try and go through them all, but I know Mix and obviously Owen, we can't be here for 2 hours, but as much as we'd like to. Obviously, but a lot of people agreeing with what the lads have said in terms of needs of rest. Obviously, Brian, we all know Vieira's game plan, he pulled it off, but Nunes sending off cost us 3 points, 100%, mate. As the lads have said, hopefully he learns from that experience, most importantly. But yeah, as I said there, Blom, it's on a witch side. So Christ, let the rivals say what you want to be like. Oh, another excuse. But I tell you what, not hoping injuries on other players, but the World Cup will play a massive impact, not just on Liverpool, but a lot of squads, especially City are probably one of the only teams in Europe that can very much compensate for like one or two of their world-class players being injured, given the amount of squad depth that they have. But you never know the shape in which a certain team is going to come back in. Hopefully Liverpool, obviously it's helping that Salah's not going to the World Cup and certain other players. So potentially, I think Jurgen Klopp's quoted it over the pre-season. He said it's literally basically another pre-season midway through the season. So it's going to be madness. But quickly, we'll move on to keep on getting any comments in, everyone. You've got any questions, so obviously Mick and Owen, drop them in and we'll quickly go through them as well. But in terms of obviously statistics-wise, we all know it was a dominant Liverpool display in every aspect. It was just a matter, and case in point, that Liverpool's final third creativeness, would you say, Mick, that, as he said, top of the show, just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, which is the most important aspect of football games. But I think obviously it was on a show with you, Owen, before, weren't we, mate? And we went through obviously the big chances created. Trent was creating opportunities. Salah, I think, was it 8 big chances? Would you class?
I've never seen it before in a match yet. He made 8 key passes, 8 created 8 chances. Incredible. Trent had 5, which is also incredible. But yeah.
Yeah, so as case in point, as we said, Mick, it's injuries, but you've got to deal with the here and now. Obviously, Jota, potentially, I think 2-3 weeks ago, we got a couple of reports in the media, the well-respected journalists saying that potentially 2 weeks away. Obviously, have you lads seen anything with Bobby? I think there was something circulating in terms of him being back, but it's case in point, Mick, who would you start up front for against the Manx on at the weekend? So, I mean, us three going to be playing up front at this rate if the boys keep on getting injured.
Yeah, I think it just said Bobby was a precautionary injury, so I don't know what that is, but I don't think it'll be bad. I imagine he'll be back for the United game because, I mean, if he's not, then we're going to have to really mix it up and go Diaz up front and go Carvalho on the left like that picture is. I mean, I think even like yesterday when Diaz went central a little bit more, he seemed to like quite suit that as well. So I think he's one of them. Like he can play in either of the 3 positions. Obviously, he's better on the left where he can cut it and shoot, where he absolutely is at his best, and he proved that last night. But yeah, there's options there, but we need. I'm glad in a way that we've got 6 more days because I mean, Keita was on the bench, didn't come on. So that says to me he's not 100% there. He was just there to make up the numbers because the bench was quite weak. Because obviously 9 injuries just obliterate you. If Keita's back, and then obviously if Bobby's back, and then we don't know if Matip could be back. Hopefully, so there's 6 more days to get people ready for us to be as strong as we can. Because even if we'd won like both of our first games, and then we had United third, I'd still be worried about it because no one likes going to Old Trafford. No one likes it. So I think it makes you a bit more wary. But I mean, we still need to go there and be really, really good to beat them, albeit they're really, really bad. But yeah, hopefully Bobby's fit.
Yeah, and as I said to Owen on his pod, we've got to be very careful in what we say anyway, because obviously, as Mick's alluded to there, though, in the form in which they have showcased, not just over this season, 2 games in, but over the case in point of the last couple of years, it's been fantastic, and long may it continue anyway. Because they rubbed back, especially there was a lot of course, there'd be a load of people supporting Man United when we were younger as well. Don't know why you do that, especially when you're living in Liverpool, supporting Man United. Don't get me started on that. Whole nother show. But in terms of obviously what Mick said, as Mick alludes to, the central areas, Lucho, obviously Diaz, he's played predominantly out wide for Porto. He's very adept, potentially, given he's very 2-footed off the right flank. It's not an ideal situation, but would you potentially see, do you think we'll potentially see Salah through the middle, or as Mick said, would you see Lucho through the middle? And obviously Carvalho, which we did see in pre-season, off that left flank, considering that we don't play with a traditional number 10, obviously unless we change formation to a 4-2-3-1. How do you think they'll shape up? And potentially, who do you think is going to be coming out of the wilderness, potentially to start for Liverpool at this stage?
Well, I think they could chop and change throughout the match as well. I mean, I think that's something that Klopp would probably encourage, like we did a lot last season with Diaz, Mane, and Salah. Chopping and changing throughout particular games. So I would be happy to have 3 attacking players of, if Bobby's not quite right, then give Fabio Carvalho a chance. Because people don't want to jinx things, they don't want to say too much to put the kibosh on them, as was said on our podcast earlier. But I don't believe in any of that. I think that's just superstition. So I don't mind saying we're going to absolutely murder them. We're going to absolutely destroy them at Old Trafford again. And, like the old comparisons with the Lowry painting with, all the masses, the exodus of Old Trafford. This time it's going to be Hieronymus Bosch. It's going to be a Hieronymus Bosch triptych of hell with blood and guts everywhere. Well, hopefully not literally, of course, but they're absolutely tosh. They're absolutely useless. They're a cruddy team, and we're going to destroy them if we play Fabio Carvalho or Caroline or get one of the witches in a number 11 shirt, stick her on the wing, and no problem, because I think they've got worse since we beat them 5-0. And we beat them 5-0 with a midfield of Milner, Henderson, and Keita. So injuries aren't really a problem. And, their lineup in their last match, right? They had Dalot, Maguire, Martinez, and Shaw. I'll repeat that again. Diogo Dalot, Harry Maguire, Lisandro Little Martinez, Little Lisa at the back, and Luke Shaw. I mean,
he's too busy eating Mackies anyway, I think, sure.
Exactly.
And I can't speak after lockdown as well. I've had too many Mackies anyway, but yeah, long may it continue, boys, as well. And as I said, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Get those Norwich scarves out, boys, anyway. You've got to protest, but we'll buy the whole club attire anyway in the club shop. But yeah, go ahead, boys. The greatest, they're supposedly stopping the game or walking out, whatever they're going to do. I'd walk out if I've seen a team like that playing for me anyway. But the final, obviously, little talking point we're discussing, and then we'll rattle through all the comments anyway. Appreciate everyone dropping in, obviously liking the stream as well. Make sure you head over to Mick's channel as well. Obviously, that's Jerry's one. There we go, the Kopite Podcast. The link is in the description. Please do head over, subscribe to the lads' channels as well, and obviously Kop On Podcasts. Both Mick and Owen are on all social media platforms in terms of your podcasts, and obviously YouTube as well. But gents, we're going to the final one, and Mick, I'll ask you this as well. Firstly, when I watched the game last night, and Liverpool's width in terms of in a game is usually being absolutely spot on. Obviously, it's difficult when you've got 10 men, but prior to obviously the sending off, really, how do Liverpool in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, continue to stretch games? Because over the last couple of weeks and last couple of months, at the back end of last season as well, Liverpool play through the middle quite a lot of their play. But I don't know how you feel, mates, Liverpool play our best when we try and, similar with City, stretching teams, especially when it can get narrow. Like obviously Crystal Palace 5 at the back last night anyway. Do you feel Liverpool could do with a bit more stretching, or does that come down to mainly the players in which we've got at our disposal? In reality, you look at Salah, can stretch a team. Diaz, Trent and Robbo, Costas, if he does play as well. Do you think we've got enough players to potentially long-term stretch teams?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at that photo alone, like it's just pure world-class talent. So I think that, like I said before about the Robbo and Mane connection, I think We just need to maybe have a little patience for the Robbo and Diaz connection to
Yeah.
properly flourish. But like Diaz and Salah as a pair of wingers is an absolute nightmare for any fullbacks. Like Owen just been saying, Dallo and Shaw. Like before a couple of games before we started battering Man United in recent years, like Shaw done quite well against Mo Salah, to be fair. But then you see him getting absolutely manhandled by YNWA in the Brentford game, and you're like, yeah, he's not ready. He's not ready to face Mo Salah. He's nowhere near it. And obviously Dallo up against Luis Diaz. It's not even a fair fight. I don't think Luis Diaz is just going to have him on toast all day. So, yeah, I think in terms of width, I think they're like what we need going forward. Obviously, Nunes is now out for 3 games, which is a shame because that trio of Diaz, Nunes, and Salah was. We needed to keep playing that in a way to kind of get us to the point where it's going to start flourishing in the best way, and that only happens when you're playing league games every week, 1 or 2 games a week. That happens over a period of time, and with Nunes not playing now till the derby, that's not gonna that period of gelling together and stuff's obviously going to stagnate a little bit because he's not in the team for a bit, but. Yeah, Robbo will get there. I think even if we put Tsimikas in and like they're both there to push each other on at the end of the day, that's what we brought Tsimikas in for. We haven't obviously got like a able deputy for Trent. Maybe Ramsey maybe will be that in a couple of years, but he's been injured as well. Everyone's injured, so he's one for the future. But I think Trent was good last night. But I just feel like we just need to. It's 2 games in, and I think we're maybe putting a bit too much pressure on ourselves. I think if we go to Man United and blow them away, which I agree with Owen, I think we will. I think that kind of just dusts the cobwebs off a little bit because I think the City game was maybe a little bit of like wow, we look really good, and we did. Maybe City went at the level that they have shown in the first 2 Premier League games, albeit against West Ham and Bournemouth. But I just feel like we need to just get a game out of our system, batter someone. I think that'll just press the reset button because I think we seem to be overthinking things a little bit too much. Those triangles down the right hand side with Salah, Trent, and Hendo or Elliott. I think that when we're at our best, that's usually the main facet for us to be doing those type of attacking actions. And I think once we start getting those up to speed, I think we'll start to see the best of Liverpool.
100%, mate. 100%. And I did have a question. It was a great point you made there, Mick. It was completely gone out of my head there. I get that memory off me dad anyway, but you spot on there, Mick, with your analysis. I was going to ask Owen. Hopefully it comes back to me. But I'm going to go straight into the chat anyway, and hopefully it comes back to me. But I know John just said he's got a question for you, so I'll quickly rattle through these. And I said, everyone, apologies if you have missed it. I haven't done it intentionally because you've all been bloody smashing it as always. Appreciate you taking the time out, most importantly the gents on the panel as well, taking the time out tonight. We all think, we've read that one. Nunes to help us. But yeah, we've mentioned that, mate. The witch case, as I would say it already. We shouldn't, obviously, it's case in point to obviously it's similar to what Mick said. Don't be panicking after 2 matches, but we definitely need more firepower on the midfield. Injuries have cost us before, and we could either forget that or not let that happen again. That was it. There we go, boys. Sorry, and chat as well. It was, as Mick's saying, obviously the points and given the team City have played, Owen, the big points, and we said off the back of last year, we can make up the points in the big games, if you get me, because Liverpool didn't capitalise on maximum points against the top teams, could we? But obviously that's an area that we can improve against the top teams. Can you foresee that going forward? And that could be how we make up the points, potentially? What do you say, Miss?
Maybe. I mean, I think every year is exactly the same. It all depends on injuries. If you look back at last season and the points we dropped, I had another look at it the other day. I've got a document somewhere, not up in front of me right now, but about all of the times where we dropped points in the league. Thiago Alcantara was missing for something like 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 of the games, the 8 draws and the 2 losses. So I think we need him back for any game. Already he limped off out of the Fulham game. We didn't win that. He missed Palace. We didn't win that. And, so I agree with the person in the chat there saying that we can, do with some strengthening in midfield. I'm in that camp, but at the same time, we've got players coming through who we didn't have last year. Darwin, Elliot, Fabio Carvalho, and I say Elliot, of course, he was injured last year. And I think, those are going to be really exciting to watch, along with, maybe one or two others. Bajcetic, maybe, we might get a look in here and there. Luke Chambers might get a look in here and there. And, will we win against the top teams? I think if we played Chelsea with this team, for example,
with a full squad, hopefully we've got them back by then.
With the full squad, then if we play Chelsea tomorrow, I mean anybody tomorrow, I would back us. But with the squad we have now, if we played, for example, Chelsea tomorrow, maybe we would win 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 of them. Maybe they would win the others. Maybe there'd be a couple of draws, and it's a bit of a lottery, isn't it? So I don't know. It's probability. I wouldn't
hopefully
necessarily think we were favourites if we played Man City with our current squad tomorrow. So, in a nutshell, depends on injuries.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something going off there. But Mick, have you got a shoot, mate? I know obviously you're very busy tonight, but I was going to say, obviously give your channel a plug, mate. Or have you got another extra 5 minutes? Just let us know if you need to shoot, mate.
No, carry on if you want.
Mate. No worries. Just give us a shout if you need to jump off, mate. We'll appreciate you taking the time out tonight, mate. We'll go through quickly Alaska. I know Owen's just answered my question, but obviously what John's just said there in relation to, it was a question. I posed this to Mick. A question for Mick. Then could have maybe overworked the team pre-season than we just have. I've seen Mick, obviously Pep Guardiola is very astute over the last couple of years. He's renowned for not letting City play quite a lot of pre-season games, given the exertion in terms of both him and obviously Liverpool's team as well. Do you reckon? What do you reckon on John's question there? Do you think we have, or do you think we haven't? Or it's just a mix in reality?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's justified because we need to get ourselves to a level to play the way we want to play the way Jurgen Klopp wants to play. So I think it's just one of them. Before the season started, we've obviously got a midfield and quite a few players that are injury prone. And obviously, I think last year, I think Cy Brundish on Twitter, he's a sports analysis guy. He put a tweet up, and it was at this stage last season we had 4 injuries, and now we've had it was something 20. It was in the 20s anyway already, and it's I don't know if that's a combination of just bad luck or overexertion. I don't know. Maybe a touch of both. But yeah, I think you need to get those hard yards in training. I think that's the biggest cliche ever. But you need to get your body prepared for a long season. And I just think we've looked a bit tired the last 2 games. But I don't know if that's mentally tired because we've come up against. Obviously, Fulham, we just weren't there, but the Palace game, they were going to sit back and just counter-attack. And I don't know if it was we were just bereft of ideas at times. And I think that kind of maybe mentally sluggish rather than physically. But then obviously there's some players that aren't in form as well. So it's just, I don't know, it's a big concoction of stuff, really. And I think that's what I was saying before. Someone's put a comment in saying because I said we're overthinking things, but I don't think you've really getting that right. I mean, overthinking it in terms of we don't know when to play the right pass, we're not pressing at the right time. It's just little things like that is so key to a Klopp system that if we don't do it, then it's like a pack of cards. It'll just fall down easily. And I think that's something maybe obviously 2 games in, 2 points isn't the greatest. We're already 4 points off, but 38 games left. We need to dust the cobwebs off very fast. And I think coming up against Man United can be, like I said, the reset button. Just go, right, click this button, bang, win this game, and then you can start to find that form again. And hopefully that's what will happen.
Yeah, 100%. And that goes hand in hand with obviously what we mentioned top of the show, boys, as well. Same with Robinson, Fabinho, rhythm as well in terms of rotation. It's key. But Rob's going with the damning incidents, amongst the excuses we have 2 games into Premier League. Lucky enough, and that's my last point. It was going to be closing, but get through these last comments. We've got 36 games. Yeah, bloody hell, quick maths. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Yeah, I was in the lowest set of maths, as you can tell. 36 games left, everyone. So, as we said, in terms of the games, there's so many times, as Mick and obviously Owen and a lot of you already tonight. Panic stations, if we're 10th with 10 games played, then we can panic and then we can talk about it. But as I said, boys and girls, it's going to be a great season. There's still a lot of quality in it. To quickly go through, Milner's a decent player, but he's definitely not a starter. Phillips was very poor. Obviously, Mick did allude to that as well, and I think a lot of others would agree. But it's the thing, as we mentioned, injuries. But Lord behold, imagine if we actually started Gomez and Henderson. Hindsight is a wonderful thing in Wales, especially in football, when you know the outcome. But if you did start Gomez and Hendo, and then you got injured, say in the opening 20 minutes, then you're going hand in hand, bringing Nat on. We know Nat's Nat. You know, he's not got an overall abundance in pace. He's not like Canati. He's not like Virgil van Dijk. He's not like Joe Gomez in terms of way he utilises his ability on a football pitch. He's not. He'll let a brick away. He'll let a whatever. If you throw it into the box, he'll knock it out at Anfield if he wants. But what you'd always do get with Nat, and I'm very surprised that he didn't get signed by Bournemouth. But you never know. Still, but at this moment in time, we're not letting anyone go in terms of the injuries we've had. But interesting. Great point there, Data. Thank you very much for that, mate. Gomez was 100% there, mate. Klopp needs to wake up, needs to sign a midfielder. Yeah, I just can't wait for this window to shut. It's supposed to be a witch jar area of a lot of Cheshire. Was 100% there, Mark. I did go on a couple of school trips back in my primary school as well. The Cheshire Hills and everything. So, so plenty of stories. Supposed to be a witch jar. If we read that one. We need a playmaker in midfield. 100%, but we'd be here all night, Eamons, and it's another show for another night. And it was a case in point in terms of, I did have this little graph up anyway, but I was going to talk about Liverpool's midfield, but that's another show for another week anyway. And we haven't got a long, that opens up a whole 2-hour slot of tonight, and we haven't got time for that. But we'll quickly get to your comments. Teams are targeting the right side of our defence. That's a whole nother show in itself as well, Shay. We have to be caught out in this side of the defence 100%. And does this, would you say, lads, quickly on this, Mick, have you heard this in terms of potentially people suggested putting Van Dijk to the right-hand side? Or would that make, in terms of protecting Trent a bit more, in terms of giving everyone identifies Liverpool's right-hand side as their weak area, but if you split the quality, because as we've seen with Nat Phillips, Zaha was going off the back of Nat Phillips every single time, but if you shift the quality over ever so slightly, even if you do have Ibu or obviously Joel Matip, would you be up for that idea? So,
I think that's why we've seen Konate play the back end of last season. He obviously got himself into the team and he played that well that he stayed in there because he provides that raw pace, and we saw it time and time again. People maybe getting not past Trent, but obviously Trent was so far advanced up the field, and then Ibu can just fly over and just barge him out the way because he's so quick, so strong that he's absolutely ideal for our system. He's absolutely perfect for it, and that's why when we had the crisis in the last season, the season before, when obviously defensive crisis, we didn't sign a permanent defender. We just signed Ben Davis and we signed Kabak on loan because we knew Konate is in our minds for the permanent solution, and that's what comes back to the midfield thing where Klopp doesn't want to sign a short-term fix. He wants to sign the long-term fix, and we know that that's the Klopp way. We can't change it. We can't change that, unfortunately. And he's got his ways and methods, and whether that's wrong or not, we don't know yet. We'll see at the end of the season. But I think Van Dijk's better on the left, and Kanate on the right, and then obviously Matip's not the quickest, but he does a good enough job there. But he provides something else with the ball carrying and stuff like that. And then Gomez, we saw last night the pace. He's got the pace as well. So I think between Kanate and Gomez, I think we're sorted there for maybe the teams that want to stretch us a bit higher.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And great words there, and it was the case in point. We're just football fans. We let Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp do the footballing decisions, and Jurgen hasn't let us down over the last couple of years. I know we've missed out on the title, but all of us have craved to be in this position that we are in over the last couple of years. We all remember the Roy Hodgson days, time under Rodgers as well, and that's the thing. We let Liverpool do the footballing decisions. Obviously, we can question them and debate them and that, but I think all of us, especially on the panel, we all trust Jurgen Klopp. And if you disagree, obviously, with what Jurgen Klopp does on a football pitch, obviously we can question him. But I think, as Mick said, we wait for the right target, and we don't go and splurge a load of 100 million on a Pogba. That doesn't work. As we said at the top of the show, we'll wait for the right target. Similar with Ibu Kanate, we got quoted a ridiculous fee prior to him signing him. Eventually, Virgil van Dijk, Alisson as well, and wait. But as I said, already up this window shut. Obviously, everyone's saying, Mark, don't jinx it. You know what I'm like, Mark, especially when we do predictions. Don't get to that starters. But Maguire, but quickly rattle through these. But yeah, right, gents, I get you to shout out both of your channels. I really do appreciate you both coming on. But Mick, just obviously shout out your channel, mate. What podcasts have you got coming up this week and potentially long term as well, and where everyone can find you, please, mate?
Yeah, so Kop On Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Yeah, like I said before, I don't know all the names. There's loads, isn't there? Like Deezer and stuff. We just use like a system and it just sends them all out magically. So yeah, search Kop On Podcast on any of them. You can find them. As I was saying before, you can see there the second one along, Simon Rimmer, Famous Fans, episode 5. There's another 4 episodes in there. Alex Horn, if you like Taskmaster, have a little watch of that. That one's a good one. And then, yeah, just trying to get more of them. Jay's working on the origin story. So you can see the Sammy Hippier one there. He's got a Fowler one and a Berger one. They've all been personally by the players themselves, like verified and like said that they really enjoy this. So that in itself is like mind blowing. That like these players you watched as a kid and idolized can just reach out to you on Instagram and just say, yeah, nice one, boss that. And it's like stuff like that that makes a hobby more exciting, I suppose, in a way. But stuff like that you really enjoy, and obviously former players and famous people, getting them on and just seeing what their world's like and asking them questions that you ask your mate in the pub. It's just stuff like that. That's just really it's boss. So yeah, nice one. Yeah,
you're very welcome, mate. Always on the channel. Top lad as well. We'll have to go for a pint, or especially if we get Dave out, mate. It's probably not an in-house joke, but Dave loves Pop World. When you only have to go on his Twitter, but Connie, if you're watching, that's your fault. I've only been in Pop World like once or twice in my life, but
I went recently, and I was just all I could think the whole time was like, but because Dave went in on his own, he must have just been like. Just went to the bar, got himself like 4 pints and was just like probably swinging around the poles and that about
on that sticky floor of Pop World for many reasons. Well, thank you, mate, for coming on. Really do appreciate it. Do head over to Mick's channel. Him and Jay absolutely smashing it, and that's what it is. The Liverpool YouTube scene, it's very small, but there's a lot of great channels as well. Everyone knows everyone, and just got to help each other as well in every aspect. Big each other up as well. And Owen, thank you very much for coming on, mate, as well. Really do appreciate it. Just shout out the podcast, me and you, and obviously Brian did before, and where everyone can find you, please, miss.
Yeah, just a couple of hours ago, we recorded the latest episode, season 5, episode 7. I mean, I can't believe it's season 5 already of Kop On, because it's been a real blast. It's been. I mean, covering this journey under Jurgen Klopp has been unbelievable. So thanks to Jack for being on it earlier. Red Mist is the title. It's 1 hour and 20 minutes, and we're talking about everything to do with the Crystal Palace game and some of the things that we've talked about during this conversation. Thanks very much for inviting me back, Jack. It's great to speak to Mick as well. And do check out Mick's Kopite podcast. It's absolutely spectacular. Really, really enjoy it. And yeah, thanks to everyone in the comments for all the kindness. And yeah, I mean, sorry if you think that I was, jinxing things and, tempting fate. I don't believe in any of that. We're just going to stuff Man United on Monday. That's it.
Hopefully, mate. No hopeful. Put the boys on the pitch. Shut up, McIndo. But Mick, Owen, thank you very much. And most importantly, thank you to every single one of you as well for taking the time out, like the gents, to come on the panel, and obviously for tuning in. If you are watching on the repeat, please do head over to Owen and Mick's channels. Anyway, the links are in the description. If you are watching on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube, respectively, everything is in the description. So please do head over and support the lads on all their content. And as I said, I've tried to feature every single one of your comments. And as I said, I agree to disagree. It's the beauty of opinions, and most importantly, everyone's views are respected as well. Respect isn't a thing on Twitter because everyone's head just blows off anyway. People can think different things as well, but we'll leave that. That's a whole another show for another night anyway, but we're not going to get thrown into that. But gents, thank you, and everyone for tuning in. Thank you very much. And we're done an absolutely batter Man United, aren't we, boys and girls? Up to Reds.